start off by thanking everybody for being here today. The reason we are gathered today is that Democrats in the South Carolina House are here today to call on Governor Nikki Haley to let some sunshine in. I'll start off by one of the quotes that I heard on the campaign trail, which was, "Sunshine is the best disinfectant." So we are here to ask the governor to let some sunshine in on her ethics problems. Let me give you a refresher. Last week, a circuit judge dismissed an ethics case brought by John Rainey, a high-ranking Republican fundraiser, by saying he was in the wrong venue, that this needed to be taken care of in the House Ethics Committee, where Governor Haley was a member of the South Carolina House when these infractions occurred. Nobody is here today to say that any rules were broken, but we are here today to say that the public has a right to know. It is time that we hold ourselves to a higher standard. We've seen Lieutenant Governor Ken Ard, we've seen several House members. It is a time to give the public the reassurance that everything is being done above board. So we are here today to ask Governor Haley, and I'm sure she will, in the spirit of transparency, waive her confidentiality by saying if there is a violation, and part of the problem is we don't know if a violation has been filed in the House Ethics or not, because everything is secretive in the South Carolina House Ethics Committee. So we are asking Governor Haley, do like Governor Mark Sanford did and waive your confidentiality. Governor Mark Sanford, when he was accused of using state money to fly around on airplanes, eventually waived the confidentiality and let the public know what was going on. We believe Governor Haley, particularly after running on a platform of transparency in government, needs to be the transparent governor that she wants to be. And to say to the people of South Carolina, I have nothing to hide. I'm going to waive my confidentiality clause, and I'm going to let the state ethics, the South Carolina House Ethics Committee, let the public know exactly what is or is not going on. Up to this point, we are in the dark. We have no way of finding out. And I want to end by a quote from Governor Haley's own press secretary, Rod Scott. "We are working to make this the most transparent administration in the history of South Carolina." Ladies and gentlemen, if the press secretary and the governor really mean what they say, and transparency is important, then we as Democrats ask her, please, Governor, waive your confidentiality clause and let the public know what is actually going on in the Ethics Committee. We believe you owe that to the people of South Carolina. And I'm going to now turn it over to Representative Mia Butler, and she will have some additional comments.
Thanks, Representative Watt. Transparency, accountability are the very concepts that then Representative Haley ran on during her gubernatorial bid. I agreed with her just as much then as I do now, that our government should be more transparent and our leaders should be much more accountable. But what better way to practice what she preaches? What better way to lead by example than for Governor Haley to waive confidentiality so that the people of South Carolina will have full knowledge, full disclosure, full transparency about whether she is being investigated and the details of that investigation. We aren't accusing her of doing anything wrong, and this isn't a partisan political ploy. This is simply real people wanting real answers about a case that was brought by a former supporter of Governor Haley. So we're here today to encourage our governor to do the right thing and participate in the process that she takes credit for helping to create, one of full transparency and full disclosure to the citizens of South Carolina who elected her. Governor, don't you agree that the people of South Carolina have a right to know? We're counting on you to make it a great day in South Carolina by giving all of us an opportunity to see you not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And with that, I'll turn it over to Representative Chandra Dillon.
Thank you, Representative Butler Garrett. I too want to thank the press for coming today because this is a very important issue. You know, as elected officials, we find ourselves under a microscope all the time. People watch what we say, they watch what we do, they watch where we go. And so whenever there is an issue that calls into question our character, our ability to do our jobs, we owe it to the public to set the record straight because perception is reality. Now, I don't know if there has been a complaint filed against Governor Haley, but I know in the spirit of transparency, which we all should be striving for, which we all have been a part of, because we supported Governor Haley's bill when she was then Representative Haley, at least I did, and it's only right that we continue in that spirit. A couple of weeks ago, there was a report levied on South Carolina that said we were one of the most corrupt states there is. We got an F in a lot of categories. This is an opportunity to improve our grade point average. We need to encourage our governor, and we are here encouraging our governor, to waive her confidentiality. It's not precedent setting, as you heard my colleagues say before me. Her predecessor in 2009, then Mark Sanford, did the same. As a governor and as the first woman governor, it's important that she maintain complete transparency in her administration, especially since she has been on the forefront of doing that. But also that we can be proud to know that the right thing is being done in South Carolina. So I'm here too urging her, not blaming her, not casting any spotlight, because I don't know, but I think the public deserves to know. And I think that when we have full disclosure, only can we get on with the good government business of government. So thank you again for coming today, and we look forward to any questions you might have. At this time, I ask Representative Mulligan to have the
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I join my colleagues here today to ask that Governor Haley live up to her promise to voters 2 years ago. The advances we have made on transparency in the House and the Senate in making roll call votes on all bills which come before us must continue in all levels of government. We make no accusation of wrongdoing against Governor Haley. However, we ask that she live by the same standard that she asked us to uphold and upon which she campaigned. Let us continue to move forward on this issue and maintain transparency into the governor's office and beyond. Governor Haley, waive your confidentiality before the House Ethics Committee, as your predecessor did, so that all voters may know whether or not any complaint is filed. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to Representative Vaughn.
We would be glad to take any questions that the press might have.
Do you think state law needs to be changed so that confidentiality is not the automatic?
I certainly do. There may be a time in the days preceding an election where a certain level of confidentiality may come into play, but we are less than 2 years into a 4-year administration, so I don't think anybody can make accusations that this is politically driven or anything else. So yes, we need to take a look at the state ethic laws on a whole host of issues. Democrats have introduced many bills trying to do that, but every time we as Democrats try to make things more transparent and less secretive in the ethics arena, it seems like our Republican friends don't let them come out of committee.
Has there been a bill specifically or do you plan to introduce one?
Has there been a bill that specifically,
Regarding confidentiality and House ethics?
I do not believe at this point a bill has been introduced. Quite frankly, it surprises me that a former legislator has the same protections. I would have thought that the governor would have been very quick to want to let some sunshine in so that she could clear up any misconceptions that might be floating in the public as it relates to her ethics.
You called this press conference today to ask her if there's a complaint filed, to come clean and let us know about it. Do you have some information?
I don't, and that's the problem. We know what the circuit judge ruled. He said, I'm looking at the ethics complaint, but I don't have the ability to deal with it. This is something that needs to be referred to the arena of the South Carolina Ethics Committee. If something is referred, we have no way of knowing, unless the governor waives certain confidentiality. We don't even know if anything's happened at this point in time. We believe the public needs to know whether or not we have complaints filed against the governor, and if so, we would think she would want to waive her confidentiality to reassure the public that she's got nothing to hide.
And you know, this, we're talking about the Rainey ethics complaint that was filed. With, Dick Harpootlian drafted that complaint. Pretty smart lawyer. Shouldn't he have known that this wasn't going to fly in circuit court?
Look, I have a hard enough time answering for Harriet. I would certainly not want to get into Dick Harpootlian's brain.
Have you read that complaint?
I have not. And, you know, what I have read has come out of the newspapers. Clearly, there's an issue there. I'm not sure. I believe it probably relates back to her employment at Lexington Medical Center and maybe even Wilbur Smith while she was a sitting legislator. All we're doing, you know, it helps us clarify what may or may not be a problem simply by waiving your confidentiality clause and allowing the public access to know what's going on.
The governor said she's answered all of those questions that were raised in that lawsuit, and she spelled out what happened in each one of those instances. Do you not feel that her explanations are adequate?
When did she lay all that out?
Different media reports.
Well, no, I do not think that all of those things have been accurately vetted by the people that need to have access to it. And again, if she doesn't have anything to hide, releasing her confidentiality doesn't do anything but make her look good.
Do you think, is this something that House Ethics would take a look at, or the State Ethics Commission?
Nobody will ever know unless the governor waives her confidentiality, because if, for instance, Mr. Rainey files a complaint with the House Ethics Committee, none of us have any way of knowing it, because everything will be done in secret behind closed doors, and the public will never have access to any of it. If the governor wants to be the transparency person that she ran on to become governor, this is her opportunity. And again, sunshine is the best disinfectant. And all we are asking the governor to do is to let us little sunshine shine in.
Isn't it correct that if there is some sort of wrongdoing and that's found in this complaint that's found by the ethics committee, that it will come out after? Would that be too late, or what's your thoughts on that?
I have no way of knowing. If they find some wrongdoing, I would assume they would then refer it to the Attorney General. Or either they could levy a fine, I suppose. But again, we have no idea or no way of knowing, as members of the South Carolina House or members of the public at large, what's going on, unless Governor Haley allows us to have access. The only way that can happen is to waive your confidentiality, like Governor Sanford did when he was accused of wrongdoing. Now, I will say this. Governor Sanford relented begrudgingly after he was challenged on many occasions. I hope we don't have to do the same thing with Governor Haley. I hope a general suggestion to the governor would be sufficient.
But if there is wrongdoing found and it doesn't actually come out, does that not serve the same purpose, or what are your thoughts on that? On whether that's...
I have no way of knowing when or how, and if you ask me if I have a certain level of confidence in an ethics committee that only has one sitting Democrat, I would tell you I have not a very good level of confidence in that committee.
Have any of you ever been the subject of a House Ethics Committee complaint that you know of?
Say that again.
Have any of you been the subject of a House Ethics Committee
Have I ever been the
complaint?
subject?
Any of the officials here today? Have you ever been subject to an investigation that you know of?
I will tell you, Probably about 20 years ago, I think I paid a $100 fine for a late filing.
Okay. Did you waive confidentiality at that time?
Nobody asked me to, but I've been glad to. And if you want me to publicly say I'll waive confidentiality on anything that might arise, you got my pledge. I pledge now to open it up to complete confidentiality. I not only say it, but I believe it, that the public has a right to know what we do up here. We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard, not a lower standard.
I asked Governor Haley this morning if she would be willing to waive confidentiality, and she said there's no reason to talk about it until we know whether there's been a complaint filed. And so I said, we don't know if there's a complaint filed because of the confidentiality. And she said, well, when there is one, you can let me know.
Well, we would never have the ability to know unless she waives her confidentiality. Therein lies the problem. You know, she can shift it back and forth, and she's very good at shifting it back and forth. If the governor really believes in transparency, this is something that doesn't cost anybody anything. All she says is, I waive my confidentiality, and we will allow the public to know what's going on.
Would you be satisfied with the partial waiver?
Do what I what?
Would you be satisfied if she partially waives it, or I understand that's
If she
possible?
personally waives,
Partially.
no, no. You either let the sun in or you pull the shades down and you don't. No, you either you release it or you don't. And I think the public has a right to know, particularly given the history of elected Republicans in this state who we have seen over and over and over in the last 12 months either be asked to resign or criminal charges, one after the other. We as politicians, we as elected officials have a duty to reassure the people of this great state that we don't have anything to hide.
Who is the
Laurie Funderburk. Thank y'all very much, and we hope the governor will let some sunshine in.